Get who we are dealing with. We are dealing who burnt mothers and kids in church. Simple. Secondly, the uncomfortable dialogue. You can't sit down with a madman to negotiate. We can't. And I don't know. And I don't intend to negotiate with him, but I don't know how, with all the resources they have, why can't they just pluck a book off the leaves of these Gen Z, as we are calling ourselves? A whole mandamano that brought numbers countrywide out in the streets happened without a committee. And they said they misread it because they didn't see it. Bana, we had a fella former ChatGPT backdoor that we could access and read the finance bill. Why don't we get the same services for this guy? Even in solving the problem, he's creating avenues for us to continue wasting money. Why do we need a committee to take up the simple things? Again, leave the committee alone. I had Kipchumba Murkomen was among the first spaces we had. He said he's listening, well and good. Then we had that Mzungu Mwitu guy. He stepped on a space, and after stepping on that space for 5 hours, he released a press briefing and said he took notes and had very good ideas and solutions. Why haven't those ones been passed over first and foremost? Why do we need 100 people to repeat the same things? I don't understand it. It's simple. Even in solving the problem, he's creating more problem. That's one. We don't need that committee. He can have it. Create us a ChatGPT. Use the avenues we understand. It's simple. These people demonstrated, went out in streets and didn't have to form 100 people and take them to Naivasha to waste people's resources. We want us to start using money like sane people. So that is not even sensible. He's not even reading the room in basics. As the two people in front of me said, we need to deal with this thing of parliament. Again, if the people who elected you don't like you, there's no need of you standing there. You can't force things. You can't force them. Aduataki, because even if this cools down, hate is very bad, and people out there are hateful and spiteful of the elected leaders. And you can't represent people who hate you, because it will be a thing of either trying to punish them or you punishing them. It's one or the other. So it's not a beneficial relationship we have. I don't care about the president as of now, but at least, because that we all agree he must go. But he can start with the basics. Dissolve parliament, okay? And to understand what the youths need, it's very simple. Just take those notes that Mzungu Mwitu had, ask Kipchumba Murkomen, take one of the tech bros. We don't need 100 people. Pay them, or just we are even not going to offer services for free. Create a ChatGPT. Kazi yake ni kufinya laptop hapo teptengele. Imwambie venye itamtolea analysis ya Kenya tunataka kila kitu. Hiyo hafai kutuitia 100 people na kutuitia mapasta. And then, secondly, this man, please guys, and I beg of you, anyone who has been contacted to go on dialogue with this, you'll be spitting on the graves of Rex. You'll be spitting on the graves of all those people that lives were taken, and you are the next one. And we'll be mourning you. Please don't take it up. You don't negotiate with a murderer. I say that with the biggest. The conversation was started by something they said. It's called game theory. If you have understood it, because I went ahead and understood it, he's playing the dictator game and we are playing the chicken game. Choose your side. And it's you can see it clearly. He's calling us to the dialogue to show us I still have the power. And if you succumb to that, and that's what he wants us to start pinpointing him. Literally anatuambia nionyeshe nani waliuongoza. Nionyeshe nyinyi. He's giving the mandate to us to point the gun at the people we want. And if you do that, you'll be pointing the gun at yourself. No dialogue, do it the basic way. The same way we came forward and we were able to organize this without a committee. I believe it's possible. Atuitaji your committee. We can dialogue. We have issues that want us settled. And he needs to start solving things the way the youth are saying. Ata asome room. Why? Si afute hata mtu moja bana, hata aturushie karot moja, si hata afukuze minister moja basi na anajua ni wezi ama afunge mtu moja. Give the people what they want. It's so common. Hata si science.
All right.
Hata nimekasirika zaidi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Atypical, for your sentiments. Now, I want us to address an issue that keeps popping up every time we're having this conversation. That is Parliament. Normally, I'll go to the National Parliament, National Assembly, which is where your member of parliament will sit. But I want to start with an older clip here. So you give us a few minutes, listen in, and then we'll cross over to listen a submission by nominated Senator Asigi Crystal. But for now, listen to this.
Rais alimaliza bunge kabisa, hata hatuna bunge la Kenya.
Kwa nini msiende nyumbani?
Sisi wabunge tunakula pesa bure. Hakuna kitu tunaweza saidia Wakenya kwa sasa. Hata tukimeki policies zote zitaenda kungeuziwa State House.
That is really dangerous, mheshimiwa.
Haja ya kuwa na bunge Kenya.
Including kesho unasema kipenga kipulizwe na muende home.
Kila mbunge aende nyumbani. Hakuna kitu tumesaidia Kenya now.
Are you serious with this?
I am very serious.
Kwamba bunge limefeli and it's time kila mmoja aende nyumbani.
Hata ukitengeneza sheria gani haifuatwi. Sasa wewe unatekeleza sheria gani kama haifuatwi?
Ina maana kwamba kesho mtakuwa mmeketi pale a year in year out mkikula pesa za Wakenya bure.
For example, tuliunda bajeti ambayo inafaa kusaidia Wakenya. Supplementary imekuja imechange kila kitu. Sasa hiyo budget ilikuwa ya nini jameni? Kuharibia wabunge wanaenda kwa mahoteli kubwa, wana-apply hata Mombasa kutekeleza hiyo bajeti, lakini unakuja unabadilisha kila kitu. Jameni, tunaelekea wapi? Tunaelekea wapi? Hii bunge, this is the most useless parliament I've ever seen.
The most useless parliament this member of parliament claims to have ever seen, because anything they legislate on gets to State House, and the man who is in the house at the top of the hill decides how it has to be done. And that's why we are asking, if we were going to have this conversation, we must have that uncomfortable truth that needs to come out. But before we can really get away from this, let's listen to Honorable Asigi, who was speaking in Parliament, that is in the Senate's floor, discussing these very issues we are addressing.
Thank you very much, Speaker. As the only visually impaired senator in the House, it was difficult for me to know if I would catch your eye, but I'm glad that I have. And I thank you for the opportunity to also, with some of my colleagues, oppose this motion. Mr. Speaker, I've heard a colleague use the book of Nehemiah to prosecute her support of this motion. But what exactly did Nehemiah say when he was urged to retreat? What was Nehemiah's decision when people were trying to distract him from his work? Mr. Speaker, Nehemiah said, I am doing a good work and I cannot come down. And that's what Gen Z are also saying to the executive and to members of parliament, that they are doing a good work, standing up, speaking for themselves and for their colleague, young men and women who are out in the streets, Mr. Speaker, and they cannot come down. And neither should we in this Senate. How can we go on a recess? Why are we going on a recess? We have just come from a 3-week recess period, Speaker. Why do we need 2 more weeks to reflect? This is a house of reflection, and we have to do it while we're sitting in these seats and when we're speaking in these microphones. That's what we're here to do. Parliament stands to represent its people. Parliament, Mr. Speaker, does not close to run away from its people. I want to urge and persuade those who have not spoken yet to also concur in opposing this motion, not because of disrespect, but because of respect for the young men and women who have lost lives, who are now muted because they cannot speak.
That is Honorable Asigi, and that video is available online for further submissions. But I'm looking at the role of Parliament, both the Senate and the National Assembly. And to conclude, there is something else I want us to really take a listen in, and that's the unholy communion between the church and the state. Reverend Tony from River of God.
2022. I can tell you this for sure, without fear of contradiction. There will be many altars that will be defiled because the politicians have realized that that is where you find the people. And so they keep coming. And by the way, they keep coming. And it's at a cost because they don't come for free. They come for a fundraiser. Who says we need their money? Who says that God cannot build the church and the gates of hell will not prevail? He didn't say the king will be the kings of this earth. He didn't say they are the ones who will build the church of Jesus Christ. He said it is him. Out of the faithfulness of the people of God, then shall we build the church of Jesus Christ. But you know what? We have replaced God with politicians. Shame on you. Now may you change. What picture is this that you're showing the children who are coming up next to us? Friends, may the Lord have mercy on us. May we go back, and I'm telling you, friends, may we go back to the truth of the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus.
Yes, truth and the faith of their Lord or our Lord and Jesus Christ. Now, let's have that conversation. Kenyan.
Hi, I just have one uncomfortable truth that I need to be able to say. The weakest link in this whole government thing is the Kenyan police. The Kenyan police is the most irredeemably corrupt, inept, and pathetic group of persons ever. Right from the IG to the bottom. They're all nothing but a bribe collection agency. They do nothing except collect bribes. And there are very basic things that needs to be done. We had a chance a few years ago to disband this group completely and start afresh. And that's what needs to be done. Because we've been talking this week about rogue policemen and doing this and misusing of guns and shooting people, but they're not rogue police. They're regular police. They don't do it because they're not like running away because nobody goes after them, because they've been instructed to do that, because they have this rogue mentality right from the top to the bottom. That's all they are. They are a bribe collection agency. That's all they are. And even if we talk about all these things that we're talking about, having, let's recall, let's have another new election, you're going to have a new election with the same policemen in place, with the same traffic policemen who every day make sure that every matatu has one seat. The proceeds from one seat in every matatu every day go to bribing policemen. And it's not just the guy who waits for you on the road that collected. That money is divided up from the inspector general all the way down to all of them. And that's a fact. And we know that. And we know that, but we accept it and we just let it go. And you expect these same people to be the ones to prosecute when someone shoots a 5-year-old boy 7 times? No, it won't happen. Unless we can talk about this really uncomfortable truth that our police is completely, irredeemably flawed, and they need to be replaced completely from the top to the very bottom. If they are not done that, then we are talking about anarchy and problems all the way through. And this is something that we've seen. We've seen it every single year when they are shown. The police are always the most corrupt agency. They're always there. And this past week, we've seen them do what they did. I was in Nairobi last week. The policemen were the ones who are responsible for a lot of the looting. They are responsible for all the provocation of people. They are actually sometimes the ones who are looting the shops. We had the army in for one day. The army did not fire a single shot. The army did not beat up a single person. The army did not do anything because they are disciplined. Our policemen are indisciplined, and we are not going to change that unless we completely disband this bunch of hooligans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenyan. You say we have to dismiss the bunch of hooligans. I will go to Basani, and then after Basani, we have Albert, and I'll hand over to Drake to control us with the moderation. I know it's quite late, but we promise a special sitting for all of us. So in case we are taking a lot of your time, you'll excuse us, but we promise to be able to wrap up at least in the next 45 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mizani. I really waited for this opportunity. I hope I'm audible. To add to this conversation, I believe the dialogue that the president is calling, the discussion, that committee of 100, it's not going to bear any fruit because the Ruto that talked on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I think, on the 26th, yeah, when he came out very furious, as if he has been wounded, very furious because his ego had been bruised, is the genuine one. The one that is talking today that they have a plan for our youth. Every time he speaks, he says, tuko na mpango kwa vijana wetu. We have a plan. These plans are just imaginary, hivyo tu. They are not going to materialize to anything. I don't know how they sat and decided that for this dialogue to take place, whatever they're calling, they are going to have 100-member steering committee. And out of the 100 members, only 2 to represent the youth, to discuss the affairs that have been raised by the youth. The other 98, where are they from? They have given the slots, then they have also come up with the agenda already. Like, you just have to go there, you have everything predetermined. There is no, the agenda has been set. So you cannot actually even introduce any other agenda if you are to introduce. Then how do we select these 2 youths? The movement, the reason why they are even reacting up to now, the ultimate rejection of the bill and withdrawal of the finance bill, it's because we pushed them and we were formless, we were fearless, we were leaderless. They could not target like they thought, because mostly if it's a demonstration organized maybe by the opposition, they know this organized by a party. This party has registration, has leaders, so they target those leaders. But this was a demonstration that was all over the country.
Did we lose our speaker?
I can't hear him either.
Well, I'll get back to you and lead us through. I think we had one more speaker on the waiting. Who was that? That was Albert. And then, Rak, you can take over.
Thanks a lot.
Mizani, give me a chance later on, please. For Jerry, yeah?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Mizani. I'll just submit on a number of things. First, to actually pass my condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones, and also quick recovery to the ones nursing injuries, and of course, we hope also that those who've been abducted also can be released and they join back their families. It's sad to be in such state of mind, like in a country, definitely. And I'll want to look at Ruto as a person, as a president, and where he comes from, or how his government is constituted now, and what we are expecting from him. In the last, I think I've noticed a trend that I think the deputy president and the presidents, since Ruto's in Uhuru's time, I think they're not in unison, because they actually maybe mismatch somewhere on matters finances. I think because I've heard also there's a finance issue between Ruto and Rigathi as at the moment, and I think this was the problem also during Uhuru's time. And so if finances were at the heart of their conflict, probably Ruto maybe had a revengeful way of coming into power and trying to be in power and actually amass the wealth or amass the financial power that he wanted when he was deputy. So with that hypothesis, for me, I see why he then got into power, definitely. And he then thought about 2027 and put or awarded all his friends around him, of course, who are now the cohort that is amassing the wealth that they looked at. With a different philosophy, I think Uhuru had looked east, and which was more entrepreneurial philosophy. Now Ruto wants to, the new philosophy is he has to tax us more, but his cohort still amassing the wealth. And that has really agitated the people. In his mind, these cohorts are regional leaders or tribal leaders, or Akinao, Moses Kuria, all these people that he thought will give him the vote in 2027. But now he's caught in a situation where Um, he thought he had that in check, and he had the church in check by all these weekly, every weekend donations in the church and everything. But he didn't see the blind side, and which is the Generation Z, or the youthful population that is being hurt in between there, observing everything that is happening and still highly educated. So I think we are calling him to reduce the cabinet, or to shuffle his cabinet, or appoint new people in his cabinet.